And for more on the escalating crisis in the Middle East, I'm being joined by President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, who joins me from Washington, D.C. It's good to have you join us on The World Now.
Thank you. It's good to see you as well.
All right. So far, there's been no claim of responsibility. But if you take a walk down memory lane, this is not the first time Israel has threatened to kill Haniyeh and other leaders of Hamas. Let's not forget that he also escaped an assassination attempt in the year 2003 from Israel. So talk to us about what this means for the Middle East region and also attempt at a ceasefire deal.
Well, I think there's no doubt that Israel was behind this. It's not normally their practice to declare that they're responsible, and perhaps they will, but I think there's just no doubt on that. Clearly, it hurts the ceasefire process. One can argue that that process is going nowhere, so it doesn't matter. But in fact, I think the only hope for a ceasefire was Haniyeh's consent to that at some point. And he has said that he is open, providing certain things happen. So I think this kills, in the short term, perhaps even long term, the hope for any ceasefire at this time. Partly because there's a vacuum in leadership now, except for Sinwar, who is the military leader who is supposedly still in Gaza. And so we lost the mediator. And as the Emir of Qatar said, it's hard to negotiate if you kill the negotiators.
And one will expect that this will be sort of a win, especially for those displaced by this war situation. But we have a statement here of an individual who is displaced from his home in northern Gaza, saying this man could have signed the prisoner exchange deal with the Israelis. Why did they kill him? They killed peace and not Ismail. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think, quite honestly, I think the Prime Minister Netanyahu is really not seeking a settlement. I think his goal all along has been to the elimination of Hamas and its leadership. So they are, combined with the Hezbollah assassination, they are taking one leader at a time and eliminating that. I think the general consensus more and more is that Netanyahu really does not want a ceasefire at this time. And I think in my own mind, I think that's true. So it's going to be very, very difficult to expect a ceasefire. It's going to be difficult to see the remaining living hostages released in the near future. Stranger things have happened, I suppose, but I think this makes it highly unlikely that there's going to be any ceasefire agreement very soon, if at all.
Stephen, this also sends a very strong signal to how strong Iranian leadership is, and perhaps some have been speculating that the supreme leader, that Ali Khamenei, may also be a source or another target for whoever conducted this assassination in the first place. How do you react to that?
I doubt that the supreme leader will be the target, because in this case, I think that would just absolutely ignite the Islamic world, at least in the Middle East, and certainly the Shiite world. So I think also you need some leader to make some decisions. Taking out the supreme leader would leave a vacuum in any type of decisions, and I think that would be very unwise. How Iran now reacts to this is another issue, though. If they react strongly like they did earlier in sending 300 missiles to Israel, then I think all bets are off. But and Iran has been very embarrassed by this. It was the host on their own territory, a very important guest on their own territory, and it does, of course, show the link between Iran and the Gaza situation. But it's embarrassed Iran. They feel they've certainly declared they have to seek revenge. What that means remains to be seen. In what level?
I hear you, but what would be the alternative to a ceasefire deal for Israel at this point. All fingers are pointed at Israel, and so many nations have been reacting to this assassination, as it was called by Hamas. Haniyeh was very involved in the ceasefire deal before his death. So what would be the alternative for Israel?
Well, I think they're getting, Netanyahu at least is getting the alternative he wants, and that is a continuing war. And in his mind, the elimination of Hamas. Unfortunately, the Palestinians, the citizenry, those not involved in the war have been crammed into a space 20% the size of the original size of Gaza. Polio is breaking out. So I think that's going to be a really ugly, well, it already is, frankly, but an increasingly uglier situation in Gaza. The alternative for Netanyahu is to continue the war and continue to at least till the elections in the U.S. to see what will happen. He has very few restraints on him right now, and so I think you're going to see a continuing very aggressive Israel under Netanyahu.
And talking about the United States, the Secretary of State, I beg your pardon, has said the United States has no hands in this deal. But let's look at how the international community especially have been responding to this assassination claims and what effect it would have as regards diplomatic efforts against Israel. We had the Deputy Secretary General, Mohammed Al-Indi, for the Palestinian Islamic Jihad say that this assassination is directed at Palestinian resistance and Hamas, and Israel is on the verge of collapse. And also President Masoud Pezeshkian, whose inauguration Haniyeh was in Tehran to celebrate, says Iran will defend its integrity. At this point, are we expecting an escalation from Iran?
Well, I think it has been escalated. The assassination does escalate the war. How much it's going to be and how Iran chooses to respond is going to have a big determinant. They've actually also been embarrassed by the assassination in Lebanon of the Hezbollah leader. Iran has backed financially and with weapons both Hamas and Hezbollah, and that's beyond question. So they've been greatly embarrassed. They are going to be a key determinant now as to what happens in that war. If they escalate it significantly, then we have a major issue. I think it's silly to say that Israel is near collapse. I think that's ridiculous. They will have the strong support of the United States, regardless of what political party is involved, particularly if Israel now is attacked by Iran. And then that will, in fact, create a tinderbox in the Middle East. It already is a tinderbox in reality, but it will create a far greater regional war, and perhaps further.
President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, thank you for joining us on The World Now.
Thank you. Thank you. An honor as usual.